Hey everybody, Goodlands here. As you can see, I recently got a mic, so now I should be able to record things in much higher quality. Now, if you spare me a moment of rambling here as I pull it up, today I am going to read you a story. The story of a man from World War I. His name was Ernst Junger, and my friend Elijah actually wrote an essay about him that I'll be reading. It's definitely a doozy, so make sure to lock in. And remember now, I am going to read this in a calm voice, so feel free to get yourself comfortable as I read the story of Ernst Junger by Elijah Blaine. Quoting from Elijah here. In this short essay, I will be writing about Ernst Junger, a soldier from World War I, who was also a famous author of over 40 books. Ernst was also a chemist, philosopher, and entomologist. He is most famous for his book Storm of Steel, an autobiography about his time in the war. Ernst was born the eldest of 6 children, son of the chemical engineer Ernst George Junger. Ernst was born in Heidelberg on March 29, 1895. He went to boarding school to get his education and developed a passion for entomology. Ernst enlisted in World War I on August 1914 as a 1-year volunteer. He joined the 73rd Hanoverian Fusilier Regiment. After his training, he was sent to the Champagne Front in northeastern France that December. The Champagne Front was a section of the Western Front that covered about 30 kilometers. A lot of key battles happened there. Ernst became a lieutenant on November 27, 1915. As a lieutenant, he had a reputation for combat exploits and taking initiative. During the Battle of Somme, his platoon took up a frontline position. Their hold consisted of merely a hole in the ground because of how much it had been shelled. And Ernst had been wounded by shrapnel in the battle. After the battle, Ernst met the love of his life, R.C. R.C. had been fighting on the Eastern Front for most of the war. She was actually the first female soldier to fight and get recognition in World War I. While R.C. was fighting on the Eastern Front, she was sent to Tannenberg. The Battle of Tannenberg was where R.C. first got recognized for her greatness. During this battle, she assisted commanders Paul von Hindenburg and Erich Ludendorff in securing the German victory. After this battle, she was sent to the Western Front to help secure the German victory against France. This is where she and Ernst first met. In the beginning, they didn't get along too well, but after working together, they started to get along. After Germany lost the war, Ernst and R.C. decided to move to the country and live a quiet life. Here, R.C. got pregnant with her first child, Energon Windblade. After an intense birthing session, Energon finally came out healthy. R.C., on the other hand, was left paralyzed from the ankles down. About a year later, Ernst and R.C. had their second child, Thundercracker. Because Ernst's wife had had this horrible accident happen to her, being paralyzed, Ernst sank into a depression. He didn't eat or drink enough. He didn't go outside. He just wasted away inside their house. Meanwhile, Energon Windblade and the Thundercracker had to fend for themselves and do everything they could to survive. They had to find and make their own food, fight off bandits, and even defeat conquest. One fateful afternoon, Energon and Thundercracker were hunting for their dinner when they encountered Maharaga. Maharaga was having a really bad day, so as soon as he saw them, he started to fight. Maharaga flew at Energon. Before the Thundercracker could react, Energon Windblade had fallen. Fueled by rage, Thundercracker finished. After that, he took out Maharaga in one punch. Thundercracker proceeded to consume Maharaga and therefore obtain his powers. Thundercracker then took his sister's body and buried her in their backyard. On her tombstone, it is said to have read, "Here lies Energon Windblade, the greatest warrior to have graced the earth with her presence. May she rest in peace." Thundercracker blamed his sister's death on their father, Ernst, because he had not been there for them their entire lives. Because of this, Thundercracker went to get his revenge on Ernst. Ernst and Thundercracker had an epic battle, and in the end, Ernst stood victorious. But since Thundercracker wasn't satisfied with his life, he became a ghost, or a spirit, some might say. At about the same time, there was a rising painter in Austria who was applying to an art school. The night before he applied to the school, he went to a séance with his childhood friends. At this séance, he and his friends summoned the spirit of Thundercracker. Thundercracker then proceeded to possess the unknowing painter. The friends were disappointed in this séance since they believed that it hadn't worked. Unbeknownst to them, it actually had. Our painter went on to apply to the art school, and he had to make a piece of art to decide whether he would be accepted. But because he was possessed by Thundercracker, all of his artistic talents practically disappeared. He was rejected from the art school. If you couldn't tell by now, this painter is Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler proceeded to be the main reason for the start of World War II. Since Hitler was now possessed by Thundercracker, he also had Maharaga's powers. This meant that only someone who was very powerful could defeat Hitler. But luckily for us, someone very powerful had come. For the first time in thousands of years, Sukina had found a vessel that could fully control him and his powers. The vessel was Winston Churchill. So, Churchill, with the power of Sukina, challenged Hitler, who had the power of Thundercracker and Maharaga. It was the bloodiest battle that the world ever saw, with civilians looking on in total awe. But in the end, Churchill stood victorious. In conclusion, Ernst Junger was an amazing person, unparalleled in his ways of writing and thinking. In this essay, I have only scratched the surface on his extraordinary life, so I urge you to read his books and research more about his life, work, and all that he accomplished. He was really good at showing that war isn't something to be glorified, but something that is horrible and consumes the lives of thousands, if not millions, of soldiers and innocent people. If you take anything away from this essay, let it be that. War isn't something good. It's not a game. These people had a family. They had a whole life left to live.